So, welcome back. Like I said, I'm enjoying my Sunday and finally taking a break from the upkeep on this property. So, what's retirement life like? Is it worth it? What do you want to do when you retire? Can you afford to retire in today's economy? Well, to me, it's not so much how much money you have, but do you have a, excuse me, do you have a regular source of income? To me, that's the key feature as to how much money you have in the bank. Because unless you're really super disciplined and you're going to just live off the interest of that money or having that money work for you, I wouldn't recommend it so much as having a regular source of income. I'm retired in retired Air Force and retired Post Office. And what's retirement like? I don't. The pros and cons of it. I retired at 67 years old, and to be honest with you, I don't think if my wife would have kept hounding me to retire, that I would have retired. I actually enjoyed working, and it's like, what are you going to do when you retire? Well, we sold our home in Colorado, and for some personal reasons, I moved back to Mississippi. But anyway, you want to move to where, or stay put. If your home's paid off, and you have a regular source of income, you want to sit down at the dining room table and figure out just how much does it take every month for you to live, or do you still have a mortgage? And that's fine too if you still have a mortgage, as long as you have a way of paying it off every month. Well, it's kind of a hard question to answer. Me, I moved to where my money goes farther. The thing is, when you're ready to retire, what are you going to do with yourself? Sometimes I really regret retiring, and it wasn't because I needed the money. It's because, do you really want to retire? It's something we all dream of at an early age. We start, at least I did, that's how I grew up. I mean, I went in the Air Force at 17 years old, and then I retired at 39 years old in the Air Force. Then I got out and trying to get a job, and of course that wasn't easy, and then you're not making any money, and then you just keep changing jobs until you find one that's, always try to change, where you're working your way up the ladder, not down the ladder. But I lived in a different time, I guess, when a man could, or a woman, a person could actually stay with one job throughout a whole career. Well, those days are gone now, seems like, unless you get a government job. And if you get a government job, chances are you'll be able to stick with it for, make a career out of it, and then be able to retire and with a nice little pension. But can you live on that pension? Probably not. I mean, you got to have several sources of income, no matter what they might be, whether they be from investments or be from a check coming in from your job. All kind of activity over there. I was trying to see what's going on. Anyway, gosh, you don't want to be in, can you retire? You don't want to be in debt, or you'd be making these ridiculous payments on cars and stuff like that. If you have a nice vehicle, you know, it's probably best just to keep it and keep it running because today's vehicles are just ridiculously priced. And, you know, I'm fortunate, you know, I've always been a car enthusiast, so I've always had nice cars and stuff like that. But I've lost tons and tons of money over, you know, cars is a bad investment. It's not an investment unless you're buying a classic car, and then I proved that that's not a good investment because the guy that buys the car and fixes it up, he's the one that loses out. The person that buys the car already finished from him, that's the person who's going to make money on the car, which is in my case. But at the same time, I didn't need to sell my classic car. I wanted to because it wasn't doing anybody any good, and it was actually hurting the car. It's just sitting there all the time. So it's best just to sell it and let somebody enjoy it. You know, that's what the vehicle's meant for. And it made the lady very happy, and I'm happy because of that. But at the same time, if you have something nice, you know, keep it nice and, you know, take care of your stuff. We live a very comfortable life, but then again, you know, I've been at this game since I was 17 years old. I was kind of born with an old soul, you know. I kind of took after my grandparents. My grandparents, their idea, they owned a couple of farms when I was a little boy growing up. And I always remember them saying, if you can't pay cash for something, then don't buy it. I wished I would have lived that way. I never did, you know. Of course, like everyone else, I lived in debt. I had car payments, house payments, and stuff like that. But that's, you know, what it takes. It seems like it's what it takes now. They lived in a different era, and they grew up. They went through the Great Depression, and I think it was in 1939 when the Great Depression was. So they know what it was like. And the people back then, you know, they lived on a tighter budget, and they also didn't buy frivolous junk, you know, that the TV's constantly pushing off on us. But you need this, you need that, you need the latest iPhone, you know, all that stuff. And I'm guilty of that myself. I mean, I buy all that junk. But I wish I had the money that I spent on all that junk. It's not necessary. But anyway, can you afford to retire? Well, do you have a regular source of income? You know, is it keeping up with inflation? We all know Social Security sure isn't doing it. Their little COLA raises and stuff like that, they don't, you know, they're giving you what, 1%, 2% raise or something like that every other year or something like that. But in the meantime, true inflation has went up 10 or 12%, you know, because that's just a fact. I mean, it's not going to keep up with it. So you need several sources of income, or you need a hell of a bankroll and try not to outlive your money. But I mean, you know, we got this nice place here, and I absolutely love it. But in the meantime, you know, it's a lot to upkeep. And my wife and I, we're talking about relocating to another state where it's not so doggone hot. Like right now, you know, this is September 29th, and the weather is absolutely gorgeous, finally. But I mean, there's 3 or 4 months out of the year here, you can't come outside until evening. And then when you do come out, you're getting eat up by all the doggone mosquitoes and everything else. What's all got to do with retirement? I don't know. But anyway, we're trying to figure out, does it make sense for us to sell our house and buy another house wherever we move, or does it make more sense to just rent? I mean, at our age, wouldn't it be kind of nice just to throw that money in the bank and do what's something you always wanted to do? You know, like my wife, she wants to travel and stuff like that. Well, you know, we can do that. But we're trying to figure out, does it make sense to buy a house or just rent and let someone else worry about it? I had an aunt, she lived her whole life renting a home. She never did buy a home. She could have bought homes many times over. She was a pretty well-off lady. But, she worked with the courts and court system and stuff like that. And she made a decent income. And she, to my knowledge, they never, ever bought a home. She always rented a nice home. And she had luckily, I think she lived in that doggone rental house 40, 50 years. She paid that guy's mortgage off and everything else, and he made a nice income, but he had somebody he could depend on, and whenever something seriously went wrong with the home, she just picked up the telephone, which is kind of nice, instead of like this house here. I bought this house 2 years ago, and right after I bought it, I had to replace both central, this house has two of everything, it's so big. But I had to replace both central air conditioners. I had to replace the whole HVAC system, both water heaters. So basically all the utilities in this house have been replaced. Then of course I put in a big garage and stuff like that. But hopefully I'll recoup that money when I go to sell this place. But, I got to wait for the market to get a little bit better before I do that, because I got so much money in this place that I'd like to recoup at least some of it, if not all. But getting back to my aunt, she just picked up the phone and said, hey, I need air conditioner replaced, or hey, the water heater went out, and it's kind of nice. So there's some perks to renting. You don't have to worry about it. And we're really leaning hard towards thinking about just, instead of buying another house, I mean, what do we need a house for it? I just turned 70 years old. I mean, what do I need a house for? I don't need to own a house. Heck, I remember reading about this one story, this lady, she's traveling the world. You know how she lives? She lives on a cruise ship. She keeps taking cruises because she figured out mathematically it was saving her money doing that rather than owning a home or an apartment or something. And she was seeing the world because the ship took care of her. Because if you're on a cruise ship, they take care of you. And she was actually able to travel the world. And that's how she's still doing it to this day. But I think that was kind of a cool story. But anyway, she was doing that. And that's kind of how I feel about renting a place, Do I need to buy a house so I can leave it to somebody? Let them make their own money. Luckily, all of our stepkids are doing very well. My stepkids and my wife's kids, they're my wife's children. But they're doing very well. They don't need me to leave them anything. And why not take care of mom? Every day I have is a blessing now. That's how I look at it. And but yet my wife, she's still fairly young. She's 64 years old, and her mom is still alive, so my wife has the potential of living a very long life. I lost my parents when they were both at the age of 63, and my dad died of ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and my mom died of colon cancer a year after my dad died. But and here I am, I just turned 70, so I kind of look at it every year past 63 was a blessing, Not to be morbid, but I'm kind of a realist. But so I'd kind of write, instead of buying a home that my wife has to try to upkeep and everything, I could leave her with enough money to where she could just live very comfortably, very well the rest of her life just renting and letting someone else worry about it. Because, you know, if as a homeowner, she'd have to worry about all that nonsense. So it just seems like, you know, when you get older, you really, what's the sense of really owning anything? I mean, my own mother, she, not by choice, they didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have any money. And she ended up living in an apartment complex after my father passed away. But she was happy with that, you know. As happy as somebody can be, I guess. At least she didn't have to worry about, you know, the business of taking care of home and everything like that. It just, I don't know, it just makes more sense the more I think about it. And then you can rent whatever lifestyle you want. If you want to rent a great big huge house with a swimming pool and all that stuff, or something like this with its own private lake, or, you know, you can do it if you have the income. Or you can just live in a modest little 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom cottage somewhere. You know, my dream's always been to live in a log cabin in the mountains or the woods. And I actually think that's what I'm going to shoot for next. So, and the weather doesn't bother me anymore as far as the cold weather, because I'm retired. I'll just sit in the house in the winter and look out the window. What the hell? But at least you can go outside. You just put a bundle up warm. Here, during the summer, I mean, you can only take off so many clothes before the neighbors start complaining. Well, I don't really have neighbors, but you know what I mean. But yeah, retirement is nice, but the thing is trying to stay busy and active. That's the key. And during the summer months, man, I'll tell you, I'm basically sitting down in the man cave in front of the big screen TV, being a vegetable and gaining weight, just sitting there. But I'd like to get back into the gym again and start working out again like I used to. But I do some crazy things. If you've seen some of my videos, I mean, I ride an electric unicycle and stuff like that, which is kind of fun. It's very fun, actually. But like I said, I've been blessed with pretty good health and stuff like that. I haven't really had any problems to speak of. None that most people my age, good God, they've had heart attacks and strokes, and I don't know, the good Lord's blessed me with health. You know, of course, not to say I don't have my health problems. And with age, things don't work the way they're supposed to anymore. But that's life. But life is it's a gift. Just try to enjoy what you got, you know. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses and the Smiths or whatever, you know, the old saying goes. Just live your life, enjoy yourself. That's what I do. I don't try to impress no. If I can impress myself, then I've done something. I don't care about how anyone else is living. There's other people who live pretty doggone well. Take Donald Trump, for example. I mean, here's a guy who's a multi-billionaire, and he's still out there hustling the dollar. You know, you got all these people always chasing the dollar. Well, when you go, you know. You're going to go with what you came with, nothing. So make the most of your life as you can, and if you believe in God as I do, you know, take care of other people. We foster children and stuff like that to try to give them a better life. And we were seriously considering adopting this one little boy, and I was all for it too. I really want that little boy bad. But I got to thinking, at my age, it's not fair to him. Every day that I'm given is like it's a gift. Realistically, am I going to be there for him? I mean, he should be adopted by somebody, and he's such a sweet little guy, but he should be adopted by somebody younger and who can give him a good life. I mean, I can give him a great life, but while I'm alive. But at the same time, I can't give him me pretty much. I don't think I'll be around for him. So there is that. But I'd love to adopt him. That way I would have an heir, somebody to leave all of my worldly so-called possessions, which are nothing, And it all boils down to it's just junk. Some people are so wrapped up in their it's like the one with the most toys at the end wins. Well, you don't win. It's nice, but it's just stuff. That's all it is. Stuff don't make you happy. It's like when you take a trip somewhere. It's not the destination. It's the journey. It's the journey that's fun. Like what you had to do to get what you got. If you just stop and relax a little bit and actually think about what you're doing and enjoy it, because after you get it, it's like, okay, well, I got it, now what? You're happy for a week or so, and then, okay, well, there it is. It's sitting in the garage, or you're living in it, or you're sitting on it, or that brand new sofa you and your wife's been wanting. It's just at the end, it's just stuff. I mean, it's your memories that are, to me, that's what's important. And being able to love, which I think is our goal in our life, is to, why we were put here, is just to love people, to love one another. And try to leave the world a little bit better than the shape that you found it. So whatever you're able to do to make life better for somebody is very rewarding. I mean, when I used to work as a mailman, I would see people begging, and I knew a lot of them were going to buy booze with it or whatever they were going to do with it, but that wasn't my problem. If I could make their life a little easier, I would gift them. And now, with fostering little children whose lives have been destroyed by, their folks going through problems or addictions, because life is not easy. Life is not easy. It's not easy at all. And from my past experiences, working with the job I had in the prison and stuff, some people can't cope. Mental illness is really a real problem in this country. And we don't take care of it anymore. Now we just put them out on the street. Whereas when I was growing up, the government actually tried to do something about that stuff. They tried to help them, with doctors and counselors and places that they could stay. And now they're putting them on the streets. And you see these young kids out on the street, with the drugs and everything, and I feel bad for them. I do. I really do, because addiction is a really terrible thing. I guess I was, well, I don't guess, I was very fortunate I never got into that kind of stuff. But I have very limited mental capabilities as it is. I sure don't need them diminished by drugs or alcohol. Man, is it a beautiful day though? Good man. It's not a cloud in the sky. It's not hot. It's not humid. You really enjoy that when you're going through 3 or 4 months of you can't even be outside. I'm just kind of rambling on. But I've been blessed. It's like I've always had a guardian angel telling me what, you know. Of course, I had 2 guardian angels, one a bad one and one a good one. And I think the good one won in the end, but I had a lot of, the bad one was always telling me, yeah, you need that, you know, and keeping me in so far in debt I couldn't even see. But luckily, I don't have those problems. But when you have been blessed, you should in my belief, you should do what you can to try to make life a little easier for someone else. Like, I was kind of like born with an old soul, and I seemed like I always got along better with people at least twice my age, even as a young man, than the people that were my age. I cared about people. And unfortunately, also, sometimes you can, everybody wants their kids to be raised better than they were raised. Well, I don't think I believe that anymore. I think by giving your children everything is the biggest mistake you can do, because they tend to become little people with their hands out all the time, expecting someone else to take care of them. So you're not doing your children no favors. If you want your child to live a good life, you teach them work ethics, you teach them morality and stuff like that. Otherwise, they grow up to be little monsters. And the Bible's right about that. Spare the rod, spoil the child. I'm not saying beat your child or something like that, but I'm saying, you don't hand the child everything on a silver spoon. It's fine to leave your child with things and stuff like that. They're not going to just squander it. And if they have the work ethics to be appreciative. But we've all seen those children that they're not appreciative. They just demand more and more and more. So therefore, I like to foster children, because they've had such hell in their life. Some of them have been sexually abused. Some of them have moms or dads that are drug addicts and they lose their children. And some of them are just had, a good parent or something like that, but couldn't afford to take care of them, And they believed in the government, where have as many kids as you can, and then the government will write them off. Be a burden on the taxpayer. That's another topic. But anyway, I like to foster these little children and give them a chance at a better life, or at least show them, that they can have that too. Just, you have to work for it. Because they're not the children that are so privileged that we're used to seeing on the streets. They're the children who really do need help. So with that, I'll just close for now. So I didn't have any luck. No luck today. But it was a great day because it was out here enjoying this gorgeous weather. Nice and peaceful, with the only sound is my ramblings in the water fountain. So I think I'll just head on back. And catch you in a little bit.